Welcome to Your Next Bold Move. Our show is all about helping you take your next step, whether it's career or relationships or life in general. Hi, and welcome to Your Next Bold Move. My name is Wendy Kaplan. Today's show is focused on communication and how to get what you want more often. And our guest today is Andrea Bordenca, who's a certified coach and CEO of a healthcare service organization in Boston, Massachusetts. Welcome, Andrea.
Thank you, Wendy.
So why don't we start off by just having you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. Well, I'm the CEO of a service organization, as you mentioned. And back when I started in 2006, we were losing customers left and right. So what I did was I went out and I had conversations with these customers to find out why are you walking?
Yes.
And there were two themes that I discovered. And they were we were lacking communication and customer service. And we're a customer service organization.
Right.
So what helped us improve our organization was having more effective conversations. And a huge part of that is making more effective requests. So that's what I'll be talking about today.
So recently you went through coach training. What was it that had you have a full-time job, you're pretty busy running an organization. What had you explore the option of getting certified as a coach?
Right, my initial objective was to become a better leader. And by that I mean I wanted to be able to build the capacity and the muscle for really listening to when a customer has an issue. How do we get to the underlying issue? How do we have richer, deeper conversations to get to really their care and concern? And the same thing with my employees is when they come to me, I don't want to be blind to if there's a problem and they don't know how to ask for it. I want to be able to say, okay, there's a problem, now let's break it down and get to the core issue so I can help out or figure out what conversations to have. I work with executives who are so driven and so motivated, and they have a really hard time being accessible to people because their mind, like you said, is 10 feet ahead.
Right.
So the move is opening your shoulders, putting your chin up, and opening your mouth slightly, right? And just letting the other person talk to you so you can receive what they're saying and let them finish talking,
right.
You know, and say, that's a great idea. Here's what I'm thinking, instead of, nope, that will never work, right? People are so blind to it.
How have these new skills impacted your work, do you think?
The conversations are that much deeper, right? And I used to have this insecurity or fear of, you know, going out to social events. Putting myself out there, it just seemed too vulnerable for me. These are things that we create in our head.
Stories that are not true.
That are not true.
But there are perception.
Absolutely.
Right.
So then what this training does and what my coaching does for others is that it helps you discern really what's fact here and what are you creating, and do you want to have different results show up? What needs to shift in your thinking?
Right.
So now I go to networking events whenever possible, and I love it. It's just I show up differently, I feel differently. I don't go in there thinking people are going to think whatever. That's not even in my mind. I'm just showing up, having conversations. I'm just there, and I'm present. I'm fully present, and it's just a huge shift for me.
You feel a lot better.
Yeah.
And often I think the troubles we have in relationships, both inside of work and outside of work, are caused by miscommunication.
Yeah, I think that's it right there. Miscommunication 100% of the time, really.
Why don't you introduce this topic to us?
The fact is we make requests every day, right? And the challenge is they're not always effective, like you said. People might have assumptions about how you want things done. There's confusion, miscoordination. I'm working with one of my clients who works for a customer service organization, and she would go to her supervisor on a regular basis saying, the process is broken, it needs to be fixed. So time and again, nothing happened, nothing got resolved. So by the time she got to me, she felt frustrated, powerless, not listened to. So when I asked her about, you know, the nature of her request, she had said, well, I go and I say that the process is broken, it needs to be fixed. And I said, well, you know, that's an observation. And so her boss didn't have the listening, and this is why coaching would be great for her boss. Her boss didn't have the listening to say, okay, great, so what is the core concern here? What's going on? He just saw it as maybe she was whining, complaining. Who knows how he interpreted it.
Right. What was her reaction?
She was so surprised. And this is, she realized through our coaching conversations that, oh my God, gosh, that's why I have the issues with my friendships and with my boyfriend. It's like here I am thinking no one's listening to me, and I'm not making it a request.
Not asking anything.
Yeah, she just thinks it's just, of course, why can't you? And that's what we do. We make assumptions. We take certain things for granted.
Right.
We don't understand why other people can't see our point of view, and that's because they're not us. Her
Right.
supervisor is not in her role.
So let's talk about the elements of how you get what you want and how you ask for what you want, and what we're calling that is elements of an effective request. So there are three, the concern,
Right.
the request itself, and the deadline. So walk us through.
The concern is huge. When you're going up to someone, it's good to give the overall, what is this, where is this coming from? So when
Like that woman who said the process
their
is
process
broken.
is broken.
Right.
That doesn't tie into an overall concern, so her boss's listening isn't tied to the
to
concern.
anything, right?
So when I asked her, okay, so what is the overall concern here? And she said, well, I'm frustrated. And I said, but how does that impact the customer? Your customer service, you're dealing with customers. How is it impacting the customer? And she said, they call, they're frustrated, they ask, why does it take me 3 phone calls to get 1 answer? And she said, you know, I know that we could get repeat bookings if we were more together. That's the concern you want to bring to your supervisor. The next is making sure that you're explicit in the request. So you're coming in, you're tying it to the overall concern. This is a customer service delivery, so that's how you start it. Get the ears perked, and her boss was very attentive.
Right.
You know, I'd like to have a conversation.
I'd like to talk about this with you is a simple way to say it,
Yeah, I'd like
right?
to talk to you
Right.
about this. I see it's a problem. I see it's impacting our customers, and I am concerned, and I actually have a few ideas that I'd like to get your feedback on to see if there's an approach that, you know, we can implement together.
That's great.
And he was blown away, and she was blown away that it was that easy. And I think a lot of people think that it's confrontational,
Right.
and it doesn't have to be.
So we're all about bold moves on this show, right? And so
Yes.
being able to communicate clearly, for most of us, is a really bold move.
It is.
We always ask each of our guests, what's your next bold move? Where are you headed?
My overall vision is to create the model, the global model, for how service is delivered across all industries. So not just in my nifty healthcare world, but across all industries globally. I would like to have the opportunity to work with organizations who are looking to learn the skills or hire a coach to help their employees develop the skills for having bigger roles and really making a big impact that will help customer service delivery.
Great.
Yeah.
And so do you have any sense what kind of organizations or what kind of people? Just so if
you know,
anybody wants to find you
Sure.
through LinkedIn, they can.
Yes, and this is my request too to all of you is call your organization, pretend to be a customer, and see how the customer service is, and then send me a note on my LinkedIn account, which is on the screen here, and just tell me your observations. I'm just curious.
That's great.
So you had asked me the profile. I mean, customer service, retail, doesn't have to be small, doesn't have to be big.
Right, can be even nonprofit because
Can
you're
be
doing some work
nonprofit,
there.
could be for-profit.
Great.
It doesn't have to be in any particular industry.
Great. Well, is there a last word or tip that you want to leave us with in regard to this topic?
Yeah. Fast track to promotion is to identify an issue, to, just like my client did, propose a resolution, and then have a conversation with your boss or supervisor about it, and then own it, see it to completion.
I'm so delighted that we had an opportunity to talk
you.
today. And
Me too, this was fun.
it was
Thank
fun. So thanks for coming today and for joining us. And thanks to our guest, Andrea Bordenca, for being with us and talking about communication. And you can help her today if you are someone who works in an organization that might need some help with communication, or you're someone who is interested in some additional coaching. You can reach out to her on her LinkedIn. And if you want more resources, free resources, you can find us at visionquestconsulting.com and themagicparties.com. And thanks for joining us today, and thanks to our production crew for all of their help, and we look forward to seeing you next time.